Hello, welcome to the Fifth Star. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Albert.
And this is a podcast where we are trying to find our next 5-star movie. And when we find that movie, this podcast will go into the litter box.
Meow. All right, so on this episode, we are reviewing Caught Stealing, which just released. And it's about Austin Butler, who has to babysit his neighbor's cat and then gets mixed up with all these gangsters and all this craziness that happens.
Yep.
So we wrote down what we secretly gave this movie on this whiteboard. And I'm going to guess, Jamie, that you gave this a 3.0 out of 5 stars.
Oh, ho, ho.
Yeah, what do you think I gave it?
Purely because it was fun and set in New York in the 90s, I'm going to say you gave it a 4.0.
So I am from New York City, and I was living actually in high school during the 90s. So that did factor, I think, into my grade, my score for a little bit.
That awesome scene in Flushing.
Yeah. So we'll talk about all that, but we're going to first talk about spoiler-free stuff.
Yes.
And then we'll reveal our scores. This is, interestingly, Darren Aronofsky's first dark comedy or comedy in general. All his movies up until now have been really kind of moody, psychological,
religious,
dramas, dark, and very, a certain kind of flavor.
Yeah.
And this seems like a massive departure.
It does.
From anything he's done before. Have you seen his other movies? Which of his other movies have you seen?
I've only seen Noah and the Whale.
Okay.
Which, those are very different movies, too.
Yeah.
All three of those are very different.
Yeah, because even Noah was a departure for him because it was like him doing a kind of more classic blockbuster Bible epic. Yeah. But it did still have his flavor to it in a way. But it was a departure from kind of what he had done before.
Requiem for a Dream, Black Swan. Yeah.
So I've seen all of his features except for Mother. So I definitely want to see that. But I love his early movies.
Yeah.
Like Pi, when I first saw it, around close to when it came out in the late 90s, it was pretty shocking, and it's indie black and white, and it's this very bizarre story about a guy mathematician who's suddenly thinks he's found all the things that connect the whole universe to this number. And
so you have a lot of context.
Yeah. And actually Pi, there was a lot of similarities between Pi and Caught Stealing, I thought.
Okay.
Because that takes place in New York, and he runs across some Hasidic Jews and, gets all kind of mixed up with them, similar to this movie.
Yeah.
But that movie was definitely not funny at all. It was very typical Darren Aronofsky. And Caught Stealing was totally very different.
It felt super Edgar Wright to me, and maybe that's because it kept thinking about Baby Driver.
Yeah, that's a good comp too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I was watching it, I was like, okay, there's some Tarantino feel a little bit, but I actually thought a lot of Guy Ritchie movies like Snatch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My husband mentioned Snatch immediately.
Yeah, because of the certain characters and the gangsters, and they kind of have a certain kind of caricature-y, cartoony flavor to them.
Yeah.
So it had some of that. It wasn't quite as fast-talking, catchy as Guy Ritchie style. So yeah, but anyway, with all that kind of context, what did you think? Did you feel even with Noah and the Whale, this is a big change and departure?
I wasn't really thinking about that while I was watching it. I was more thinking about wow, this feels like Baby Driver. This may be a first, but I think this is a situation where your opinion could very easily sway me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm giving you a lot of power.
Okay.
In this situation.
Yes. So I'm guessing right now you're probably at a 3.0 because you're maybe some things you didn't like, and you're kind of mixed, is my guess.
And I think there's some things that I maybe need clarification for.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe you can clarify some of it for me.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the cast.
Yes.
I thought this had a fantastic cast.
It really was.
I mean, you have Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, Bad Bunny, who
was not expecting him.
Yeah, and he's kind of on a tear. I saw Happy Gilmore 2 recently.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the only really great part of that movie.
He's the best SNL guest that I think has been on the show in forever.
And yeah.
He's so good. And I think SNL was maybe what made people start to see like, oh, he can act.
Yeah. And he's good at comedy too.
He's good at comedy.
Like,
yeah.
Did you think he did a good job in this as Colorado?
Yeah, I thought he did good. He was scary. Yeah. I didn't think he was that funny in this. I thought he was more like intimidating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was, but, you know, it had a certain comedic tone to it a little bit. Like, he's playing it up a little bit.
He's like casual, nonchalant.
But I really think Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, they were fantastic
so good.
as like these Hasidic Jew like gangsters.
Very convincing.
Man, they were so good. I kind of wish they were in more of the movie. And I think it was done with a certain kind of sincerity also. Like they weren't just kind of playing a bit.
Can I just say that like I thought how immersive the world was so cool because immediately we're dropped into New York, the 90s.
Yeah, 98
and it
specifically.
Is so gritty. Just like nothing was clean.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography, the production design, it kind of felt like an older movie that we're not used to anymore. Like nowadays, all these movies look so like Hollywood, clean, polished, just perfect lighting, perfect color, everything. This movie just felt like really real and really immersive and kind of like what we're used to with older 90s movies, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really cool. So, I thought he did a really good job with the color grade.
Yeah, so I agree. So do you think this was shot on film or digital?
So I thought it was shot on film until I looked it up.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
It's just color grade.
I know. And
a really well done grade.
Like, really well done. I think to date, maybe the most convincing I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it was because he went really aggressive with the grain and the grade also.
Crushing the blacks.
Yeah.
Really, like, saturating some of the blues and reds.
That's only like kind of the capture part of it, but the other part is definitely the production design, like you said.
Yes.
And as I'm watching it, I was in high school during this time. And so, and I'm born and raised in Flushing. I would take the subway into the city. So I've seen Lower East Side at that time, you know, and during the 90s, they kind of referenced in the movie, like New York was dirty.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was graffiti everywhere. And then that was kind of when Giuliani comes in and he does the whole broken windows theory that, yeah, if you see a house that looks abandoned, people are going to treat it like garbage. And so he started cleaning everything up, getting rid of all this, you know, graffiti and spray paint everywhere.
The gentrification.
Yeah, and then the gentrification's happening, cleaning up Times Square with all the kind of shady like adult stores that they had and all this stuff. And it really worked. It really did transform the city. But even the 7 train that they're taking, it's the actual original, like, old red 7 train, not like the newer one, you know? So they got the right period trains. Even the inside interior looks exactly the same from what I remember. The buses, like, all those details were so on point. Even the phone that they're using, which this is like the beginning of like regular people having cell phones.
Right.
And so they're using like the black Motorola StarTAC flip phone, which was like the one cool kid in my high school who like could afford the hundreds of dollars. It might have even been like $1,000 back then, but the one flip phone that was like so cool that it was this small, you know?
And then you have the one guy who builds websites.
Yeah.
And they just make fun of him for that.
Which maybe some things haven't changed in all this time.
Maybe.
No, we love the people who will build websites. But yeah, and then even like little throwaway comments like, don't use up all my minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh.
I remember
how much
that.
Take for granted. Oh, you were actually on a minutes plan too?
Oh, yeah. I would always run out of minutes. I was always the friend that people would get mad at for running out of minutes.
Oh. Yeah, and so all those things was just like, oh man, every little bit of attention to detail like that he put into the production design, and
it was great. It was. I mean, my husband actually pointed this out to me. There were just like little world building details, like inside of the basement of the bar when he like first goes down there and he's like rummaging around. You see like the lizard terrarium and stuff.
Oh,
and just like that little detail of like, oh wow, like this guy's kind of weird. He has the little pet lizard in his basement. It just suddenly creates like more interesting characters.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just putting people into an empty room and telling them to act.
Yeah.
We're giving them like a whole space, or they were giving the actors like this whole space to work in, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, it makes it so much more fun to watch as a viewer.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even like those people in the bar, they seem like they should be like caricatures of the kinds of characters you see in typical like crime thrillers and dramas and stuff like that. But they felt like more real people.
Yeah.
Like they kind of seem grounded in reality. Even like Austin Butler. I think the first part of this movie, the thing that I really liked was that I hadn't seen any of the trailers. I barely knew it had any kind of crime thriller aspect to it. So I'm just watching this thing unfold as this guy's going about his day. And it feels like it's paced at a very methodical pace that made me feel like he was a real person going through a real life struggle. You know?
Interesting, yeah.
It didn't feel like I was just like jumping into this kind of quippy, like exciting adventure movie, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're just like following this guy and you don't, and I didn't know where the story was going. Now, once all that kind of stuff kicks in, it does kind of shift tonally to maybe what you kind of typically expect from these kinds of like genre movies. But the characters, like you were saying, I think still felt grounded. They didn't seem completely like caricatures. Like you see them in interacting with their family and these other, you know, like their mom or whoever it was. And they felt like real people, like who would actually exist, right?
Yeah.
So I thought I really liked that. And this is actually based on a book. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
it says
have you
it
read
in the credits.
Oh,
No.
yeah, that's right. Okay. And so maybe that's why like it kind of comes out of that source material?
Yeah. And honestly, the fact that it's based on a book makes some sense to me. Because I feel like the characters clearly had more life in them. And that's the thing. That's the strength of a book, is that it gives you more time with characters and it gives you more like development, I guess, usually.
And I guess you usually get more backstory.
Yeah, you get more backstory, you get more context, you get all those things. And so the movie had a lot to draw from, probably.
Yeah.
The movie probably had all those like little details about his boss that they were able to just put into the scene.
Yeah.
And really make it feel fleshed out.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes like movies that aren't based on books, like they can neglect those things because they're more just focused on the plot.
Yeah.
Or the beats.
And the character feels kind of like a shell, like an outer shell.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, because even like the boss, even though you don't get all the exposition of his backstory from the way he's dressed and the way he acts, when he makes certain choices, which we could talk about later, it feels motivated. You're like, oh, I kind of get what this guy's about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it makes it feel like, oh, this is a real person. Like he's acting the way he would really act. So another thing that I thought was super period accurate to New York is, and might still be true today, is that when Austin Butler like kind of wakes up a homeless guy, and then he like wakes up and pulls a knife on him. That's so New York. Which, by the way, New York.
Yeah,
shout out.
And it kind of could be 90s, you said.
Yeah, it does look like it's
got the little stripies.
It's been around from 1998.
Or maybe it's sporty because this
vintage.
The title is such a good double meaning.
Oh, yeah.
You know, caught stealing in baseball, stealing the base, right? Or caught stealing a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Such a good double meaning.
Yeah, it's good. And, you know, like there is this whole part of this movie that's about baseball.
Yeah.
And Austin Butler having played baseball, him being a huge San Francisco Giants fan.
Not a New York Giants fan.
No, not a New York Giants fan, which... So the funny thing is that they used to, and for you baseball people out there, you already know all this stuff. The San Francisco Giants used to be in New York. So they used to be the New York Baseball Giants.
What?
And then the Giants football team were the New York Football Giants. So we actually had two Giants.
Oh.
Yeah. So the fact that he is a San Francisco Giants fan in New York, being, you know, against the Mets is kind of a little funny, you know, because it's like
that's
old
what
school.
they used to be.
Yeah. But same thing with the Dodgers. So the Brooklyn Dodgers, they came from Brooklyn and then went out to LA.
When did those swaps happen?
Oh, like mid 1900s at some point. I don't even know when.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
It was a long time ago.
Okay.
But the funny thing or interesting little trivia thing is that the Mets, the Metropolitans, when they started, they were trying to figure out the logo and everything. And what they decided to do was have the blue and the orange color from the Brooklyn Dodgers and then the San Francisco Giants, or the New York Giants, to keep those orange and blue colors. And that's why the Mets has that, orange and Y with the blue background.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so there's just like a lot of history and all of that.
I just didn't know baseball teams moved across the country like that.
Yeah, they get bought and sold, and like the Oakland Athletics, right? They're going to Las Vegas. So right now they're in a transition year.
Because they're Oakland, California.
Yeah. So this year they actually have no name with them, no city name. They're still playing up there, but they've dropped it for this season. They're just Athletics.
Weird.
Because they're in transition to go to Las Vegas. Yeah. So, these things happen. But, I was so able to relate to the fact that, like, for example, every conversation he has with his mom, he's always like, oh, they're talking about the game. And then at one point, this is very early on in the movie, but he's been in the hospital, out for a couple days. The first thing when he wakes up is, wait, what happened with the last few games? And it's like, oh, we're like one game behind the Mets in the wild card. And it seems silly, but as a diehard Yankee fan also, and I'm also, the Yankees right now are in a wild card race.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Well, I'm a more diehard Jets fan.
I was going to say, I thought of you with the Jets during the movie.
No, but I'm watching every Yankee game right now, and we're in the thick of like a playoff wild card race and trying to get to the top of the division. So if I was like out for 3 days without realizing it, one of the first thoughts in my mind would be, where are the Yankees in the standings? What happened the last 2 days?
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Even if it tore your stitches.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do we want to reveal our scores?
Yeah, okay, let's do it. So you thought I would give it a 4.0, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
I also gave it a 3.5.
Whoa! Okay, I thought you were at a 3. Interesting.
I know. It was above a 3 for sure.
Yeah, it was well done.
But I had a feeling, I was like, if he gave it lower than a 3, he could probably convince me to lower
down.
it.
You thought?
But I also was thinking you gave it a 4.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, he could probably get me to change it to a 4 if he really wanted to.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I was like, I'm at a 3.5. If you loved it, which I didn't expect you would have liked it more than I did.
Yeah.
But if you did, I was like, I probably could get up to a 4. Now, before we get into spoilers, this is why.
So interesting.
There is so much stuff that is really good about the movie. Great characterization, great characters.
Yes, I agree.
The production design, the period, all that stuff is great, right? The one thing for me is that this is a Darren Aronofsky movie. And because of that, I'm going into it being like, okay, I've seen the last 8 movies or whatever you've done up to this point, except for Mother. But I also know that movie tonally is a certain way. And so then I go into this movie and I'm waiting for that kind of element that he brings. And so even in a movie like Whale, it seems very straightforward. It's a guy kind of in his apartment the whole time. But there are parts of the movie that kind of get under your skin, kind of makes you feel a little like, I
felt that during this movie.
Oh, you did?
Like when he's like unclogging the toilet or like throwing up directly on the window.
Yeah, there were some of those elements, but I guess in other kinds of movies in this genre, like they go there too. And they go violent and things like that.
So what you're saying is you wish you hadn't known this was an Aronofsky movie.
Maybe, but I think that knowing that it's a Darren Aronofsky movie, I actually expected it to go even more violent in some parts. Not in
and
like,
as you know, I'm relieved it did not.
Yeah. But I thought there were maybe in a way like it's interesting that he went kind of this shift into comedy. And I think there actually were some really good, funny moments like that. I genuinely laughed out loud.
Yeah.
So I think he pulled it off for sure. But in a way, it was too kind of normal for a Darren Aronofsky movie, you know, that I'm like, I don't know. I was left a little like wanting for something more. We will start to get into spoilers.
Yeah.
So one example is it wasn't until he gets kidnapped or, you know, held by the gangsters and then they start torturing him, trying to make him talk by pulling the staples out of his stitches. Then I was like, oh man. And you really feel it. They really show it. And then I was like, okay, like here's some of the Darren Aronofsky that I'm kind of expecting.
Yeah.
Right? But then it just kind of like tones down throughout the rest of it. Like I never really felt it was as visceral as it could have been, knowing what he's capable of, and he has been capable of throughout other movies. Yeah, like this guy is really getting put through the ringer. But it could have been worse, you know?
Well, I kept feeling like the injustice of it all was so frustrating because he didn't do anything. And then all these horrible things are happening to him just because people think that he did something or he's involved.
Yeah.
And it just, that was so frustrating because I was just like, he's a bystander in all of this. And he's just like a little California boy who ended up in the wrong apartment building.
Yeah.
You know? And that was really frustrating.
Yeah. It's like it's like a mistaken identity type thing. But it's not that they know that he's not the person they're looking for, but it's kind of like that. They're expecting that he's involved and mixed up and everything.
I even thought, like, when they found the key in the litter box, I thought that's going to be a MacGuffin. And then I'm going to be even more frustrated because
it's all for nothing.
It was all for nothing. Like, it's going to be a key to, like, some dumb mailbox that has, like, nothing in it.
Yeah.
And... yeah, I don't know. But I'm glad it wasn't that.
Yeah.
I think the reason that this isn't higher for me, because I was feeling like this is probably going to be a 4.0 for me. But the last thing that happened, the last choice he made.
Okay.
Kind of made me upset.
Which part? The fact that he decides to crash the car and...
yeah. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I thought that the movie was going to be about forgiveness in a way.
Oh, Jamie. Oh.
Because he had
sweet, innocent, naive Jamie.
Well, I was talking to my husband about this on the way home, and like he was on the same page because his whole arc is learning to forgive himself, kind of, for what he did. And then it sort of felt like he was trying to forgive the sins, or at least move on, run away. And then, like, his very last choice was, you know, realizing that they murdered his girlfriend, which was horrible. Yeah. I wish that wasn't even part of it. And then choosing to kill them the same way that, like, his ghost is the car crash. And so killing them... he sort of created a new ghost, or full circled the ghost?
No.
I don't know.
So I think it works really well.
Okay, explain it to me.
So I think the theme is actually what has been stated at other points by Zoe Kravitz's character. You need to stop running away and you need to face your fears.
Right.
And
he is running the whole time.
Yeah. And so the whole baseball thing is actually tied in intricately to the character because, like he got his future taken away. He didn't even care about the friend that he killed, right? He was just, you know, torn up about like his knee being torn up, no pun intended. And then the rest of his life, he's just miserable at the fact of like, I could have been this phenom and, you know, all-star, whatever.
I could have been something.
Yeah. And so he's dealing with that. He's running away from really pursuing anything in life. He's just like passive throughout life, right? He's just drinking his life away, quite literally. And he has this fear of driving, which is very understandable. I mean, every night it seems like we see him wake up
from the nightmare.
Yeah, a nightmare of like reliving that moment over and over and over again. Right?
A literal ghost.
Yes. And then so when he is put in this terrible situation, life is imposing its will on him, and he's a victim. He finally comes to a point where he's like, you know what? I'm going to take control. And that's when he reaches out to the Hasidic Jews and gets them to, go and kill Roman for him and all this kind of stuff. So he starts to take control of the situation. And then he's like ready to kind of move on when he's in the car with them because he thinks he's like out of the clear. I thought it was hilarious that because it's Shabbat, right, that they are like, oh, we can't drive. You have to drive. Even though they've just murdered all these people. And clearly that's the sin too, right?
But not as big a deal.
Yeah. Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And then so in that moment, I actually felt like, oh my gosh, nervous for Austin Butler. I'm like, oh no, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna actually get behind the wheel? Like, because you can sense how terrified he would be, just like have a panic attack of being behind the wheel. And supposedly, like we think that he has not driven since high school, right?
Yeah.
But in that moment of that shock of the reveal, he takes it to be like, I am going to not only drive, but now start speeding up. And then reenact the very trauma that I've been running away from. And in doing that, get revenge for the death of my girlfriend, the love of my life, right? And so I thought it was very fitting. It was like an appropriate completion, And then when he goes to the Caribbeans or wherever he's escaping to, they have a TV at the bar, and it's playing the wild card game. So I didn't know all the details because I was a Yankee fan. I wasn't following what was happening in the National League with the Mets and the Giants. But 3 division winners were already in the playoffs. There was one more spot for a wild card, and that came down to the Giants getting to play the Cubs. So the Mets didn't make that game, and it was a 1-game playoff at that time. It's changed now, and the winner of that game will go into the playoffs. So his Giants are playing the Cubs. And then what we see that the score is like 5-1. Now, later I realized that, as I looked it up, that game, his Giants were losing 5-0 the whole game. And then in the 9th inning, the Giants start making a comeback. And then they end up scoring 3 runs in the last inning. But he stops it before it even gets to that point. So like now, like people are starting to get on base. And there's like all this like buildup of a potential comeback. And then in that moment, he chooses to turn off the TV. So like for me as a sports fanatic, like I understand that's a huge deal, right? Because, his whole life has been around this, and he's been waiting for this moment where his team gets to go back to the postseason. And
so what does that choice like mean for him in that part of the story?
I think it means that whole life of baseball, him being so obsessed with the Giants, I think was deeply tied into him like vicariously living out what he missed out on.
Yeah.
Because he could have literally been playing for that team, right? Even when his friend was like saying, oh, you could have been drafted higher by a different team. He's like, no, they're not going to take me that high. I want to play for the Giants, right? Who have like a mid-round pick. I think for him, by choosing to turn off the TV at such a pivotal moment, is the choice to finally kind of fully move on from like the past and just kind of embrace the future ahead of him, like clean slate. And so it was like a very kind of like nice exhale moment.
Interesting. Now, I interpreted that so differently.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because
how did you interpret it?
Like a lot of what you said, I did pick up on, but I thought that he was still running away at the end because he literally was running away.
But he killed everybody who was threatening him.
Yeah, but why did he go into hiding? Why didn't he just go home?
That's true.
I felt like he was running away from his past and like who he was as like a changed person, which Zoe Kravitz's character was like, you got to stop running away.
Yeah.
And it felt like at the end he was still doing that.
Oh.
And it felt like he didn't really change or grow that much. He just kind of became more edgy and maybe more free, but still burdened.
I mean,
he felt burdened to me by the end.
Yeah. I guess you're right in that he does go in disguise to get out of the country. Which all I could think about was his hair that long to get a mohawk like that? But I guess you're right, because but he tells his mom that she's okay. He sends her half the money, and she's still at home. So if he was really under threat, people were after him, like, she would be at risk, right? So yeah, why does he go away? That's an interesting question. But I do think that by him turning off the TV, maybe he was running away when he got on the plane. But when he got to the bar and he started watching the game, maybe it was like in that moment that he goes, you know what? Like, I'm just going to move on with my life.
Yeah.
You know? And then he turns off the TV.
Yeah. And I think, like, in the end, it felt like a tragedy because he changes for the worse. Like, if you look at him at the beginning, yeah, he's kind of like living in this if only sort of life, but he's happy. Like, he's
he happy?
He seemed very happy at the beginning. Like, he's
it's because he was drunk.
He's very in love with his girlfriend. They're like talking about getting married. Their chemistry was amazing. Yeah. And then he doesn't super love his job, but he has like a community there. And he like clearly feels confident in his skin and everything. He does seem to have like an odd relationship with his mom, but he still like calls her every day. It sort of feels like at the end he's alone. He's isolated. He's just murdered a bunch of people. He's like made his last choice is a vengeance, not like a good thing. Vengeance is not a good thing. Yeah. And him pretending to be his flatmate is sort of like embracing the life that his flatmate had. So it feels like ultimately a tragedy because he ends on a lower note than he began.
So I don't think that's what the movie's trying to communicate. And I also don't think that's interesting. And I don't also think that that's the way I felt watching it, because in the beginning, he has those things, yes, but he's an alcoholic.
You think he's happier at the end?
Yeah, I think so.
That's fascinating.
I think he's not necessarily like happy or smiley like externally, but I think deep down he's really overcome his demons and is now going to be able to
I think he just
really
added more
life.
Demons. He has so many more demons to add to his list.
Because like there's so much here in the beginning about how his bad choices has been because like he's drinking his problems away, right? He's drowning in his own misery. Drowning in his misery. Hiding alcohol everywhere, like in ridiculous amount of places.
But then him being like, I'm not, I can quit.
Yeah. And then when he loses a kidney and literally like drinking alcohol is going to kill him. He goes to the bar. He's in this crazy situation. And then because they're like, oh, this toast is for the Giants. He's like, oh, sure, I'll have just one.
Him getting drunk there, though, doesn't, to me, like, yeah, I think he was an alcoholic. But I think him getting drunk there was more because of the stress he was under.
I agree. And every time he sees alcohol, like on the bus or whatever, and he's going through it. He says no, but you see the appeal, like how it's calling to him,
tantalizing.
Right? Yes. And then at the end, when he's at the bar,
he gets a club soda.
Like, that's such a huge step.
Okay, he's free from alcohol, but he's not free from the amount of murdering he did. Like, alcohol murdering people, Albert, which is worse to you?
I mean, you know, like, alcohol causes a lot of damage.
Okay,
you can hurt a lot of people when you're addicted, and you know.
Another point I want to make though that I thought was interesting was the Jewish woman, Baba?
I forget. Yeah,
Baba? I don't remember. She makes a remark to him about how you're not a biter, so don't show your teeth. Or something. Don't show your teeth.
If you don't know how to fight, then don't show your teeth or something.
Yeah, if you don't know how to bite, don't show your teeth.
Oh, that's what she said.
Yeah.
I thought she said fight.
And I thought that was like a really cool insight into his character where like
the cat.
She's basically saying you're not a killer, so don't like act like you are one. But then at the very end, the cat bites the bartender, or tries to. Yeah. And then the bartender says, "You guys have the same eyes." And it sort of becomes
That's
this,
good.
like...
I missed that.
Yeah, it sort of becomes this, like, earlier. Oh, now he is a biter.
Yeah.
Like, because of that final choice he made, he has now become a biter.
Yeah, because up until that, even when he had a chance to get rid of Roman, he says, "I'm not a killer." But they are, right?
But they are. And then he kills the killers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's a tragedy.
I mean, okay, this is where I really like Darren Aronofsky. I think what he's really good at is he's really good at tragedy. He's good at tragic characters who end in a deeper place, darker place than they started.
Yeah.
But you kind of have like some mixed emotions about that.
Yeah, I felt very mixed.
Yeah. And I think that might be by design. Like, in some ways, he's conquered his fears, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's it.
In some ways, I mean, now he's massively rich, but at what cost? Right? So it's
kind of like the end of Squid Game.
That's true. It is.
Yeah.
And
blood money.
And in that sense, like, life isn't so clean cut a lot of times. People aren't always so clean cut. You know, there are good and dark sides to people, maybe more than we might recognize sometimes. And yeah, like, so maybe it is an exploration of that. But to me, it felt like a necessary journey. It felt like he had to go through this because where he was at was unsustainable. Do you have any belief at all that he could have been happily married or had led a good family, you know, be a good dad or whatever, if he just continued being the alcoholic that he was? Like, I don't think so, right?
I don't know. I think there was motivation to get himself out of that because of Zoe Kravitz. Yeah. But other things would have to change in his life too.
But like, then when he gets drunk and then he sees her and he goes, "Oh, my life is garbage," and then she gets upset and leaves, right? Like,
yeah, and then he's clearly like very remorseful for that. Like,
he is.
I messed up. Yeah. I can't lose her. Come back.
Yeah, but I think it's that there's this deep-seated pain that he's never been able to get over, and it seems like he's never gonna be able to get over it. And to me,
I think something else could have happened to help him get over it. A different story could have been told.
One that Darren Aronofsky would never have directed.
But I kind of wish it had ended, and this is like, I guess, sappy person in me. I don't need every movie to have a happy ending, but I need every movie to have like a semblance of hope. And I think this movie did have a little bit of hope. But
the club soda.
I wanted him to... I liked that the Jews were like, "Oh, let's give him $100K. Let's like leave him alone. He's not gonna kill us. Like, he's a good guy. Let's just let him be." And I was like, "Wow, what a growing point for these horrible, horrible men. What a little point of growth." And then they pull out the freaking lighter, and I was like, "Ugh, well, now it's over.
Yeah,
now it's ruined."
It was so well done because it was done with just like eye looks of like, "Oh, why did he just do that? Oh, did he notice?" You know, and then like,
and then they figure it out, and then it's just like, that was just a brutal way to end it. But once he pulled out the lighter, I was like, "Yeah, there's no other ending. He's gonna kill them, and he might die too." I kind of thought he was also gonna die.
That would have been kind of good.
And it just ends with the mother getting a phone call or something.
Yeah. I mean, because that would be just true tragedy.
Yeah.
And more in line with maybe his earlier works. But I do see some growth in maybe Darren Aronofsky because Requiem for a Dream, which is the second movie he did, that's probably my favorite movie of his. Like, it's such a great movie, but it's also like just keeps going darker and darker and darker into drug addiction. If you watch that movie, you will never touch drugs after that, right? Because you're just like, wow, it's so visceral and guttural and all this kind of stuff. And in this movie, in some ways, he's exploring that same thing of like substance abuse.
Yeah.
But he comes out of it, you know? And I think even as a filmmaker, I would never, ever have expected Darren Aronofsky to ever have made a dark comedy or a comedy or a crime thriller, you know? Yeah. But he did in his later age in his life. So it's like, is this part of his growth where maybe things were more bleak, or he saw in humanity in the world or whatever. But now, like, even though that's still kind of in the zeitgeist of his life or whatever, he sees something, a little bit of like hope in people or like a potential to change, even if it's at the cost of being a killer, you know. But there's like some, I don't know, maybe there is room for humor in your life, in your work, you know. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to me that he made this movie.
Yeah. And I think like I am maybe comparing it to Baby Driver too much, but like Baby Driver ends with him going to jail and serving and then getting out and still ending up with the love of his life or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like a much happier, yet justice is still served kind of ending. Whereas this one, it ends very like, do I root for this guy or is he the bad guy now? Like, that was the weird question I had at the end where I was like, I don't know if I like him anymore. Like, do I still want him to win? But like, I do still like him, but I don't. And it was so conflicting. And maybe that was what Darren Aronofsky was going for.
Yeah.
He like wasn't sure if, like, it's up to the audience if it's a tragedy or
or hopeful ending. That's true. I mean, the fact that we read it totally opposite is so interesting.
We really did.
I mean, I think first of all, I think Austin Butler did a great job.
Yeah.
Like in Bike Riders, he was totally like the rebel, pretty boy, whatever.
But kind of flat.
Yeah, but in this, he felt like a normal dude.
Yeah, he did.
And I thought
still very capable.
Yes, but also like kind of likable, but also like a screw up. Like he blended these things really well.
Yeah.
And then as he's going through this, so we also reviewed Night Always Comes, right? And I thought in Night Always Comes, like it didn't feel like as she was going through all this stuff, like I was like rooting for her that much. But with Austin Butler, like I really felt bad for him.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you feel bad for him, you feel bad for the cat, you know, you're just like, oh my gosh. And then the whole, like when the girlfriend died.
Yeah.
What did you see that coming?
No.
That was shocking.
That was brutal. And it was like the midpoint.
Yeah.
So early.
I know. And they spent so much time building up their love and their chemistry and all this stuff. Yeah. And then you're like, what?
That's so sad.
Yeah, but it really motivates so much of his actions.
Did you notice too that the save the cat?
Okay.
Literally.
Which time? I mean, it's like how many times does he?
The character literally saved the cat.
Yeah.
Read the book. There's a book called Save the Cat.
Yes, if you didn't already like him and root for him, now you have to.
Now
right?
you have to.
And the cat.
Because he saved the cat.
And the cat has a limp. Oh, what a cast.
Little cast.
Man. You know, I think in Baby Driver, it's thrilling, 100%. I probably would rate it higher than this too. But
I gave it 4.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like real life as much. It feels like you're watching a show, right? Like something that is...
I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it again.
Like, it's so fantastic. It feels fantastic, right? But getting everything at the end feels unrealistic, right?
Okay.
After everything that's happened. Here, it's like, yeah, he has all this money, but he is alone. Mm-hmm. He's not with his mom. And he doesn't have his girlfriend anymore. Like, that's never going to come back. But maybe it just doesn't make for as thrilling of a movie experience, right? Where you kind of want to have this, like, oh, yeah, you know, ending.
I don't know. That's a good question.
So do you think you would go higher, given that the ending, with my interpretation, if you kind of buy it?
Well, the only thing that you added that I hadn't already thought of, I guess, was the fact that, like, him choosing to crash the car was him trying to take control. I hadn't thought about that in that way, but I still think I'm landing at a 3.5 because the conflicted sort of feeling drops my rewatchability a little bit. I think the quality was super high, and I think my enjoyment was in the middle, like right in the middle. I
think I feel similarly, and that's where, in a way, I wanted. Yes, it's good dark comedy. Yes, it's a crime thriller. In a way, I kind of wanted it to be either darker or a lot more violent.
Or funny.
I mean, it was funny, but...
Funnier.
Yeah. But I think if it stuck to a more clear note throughout, or at the least, and the ending, have a very definitive up or down hard like turn.
Yeah.
So like you suggested, if he did go and kill himself like at the thing, but as he's laying there, he has a smile on his face. Like to me, that would have been almost like a perfect, it's dark, but it's comedy kind of mixed in.
Yeah.
You know, but with the ending that he gives us, it is a little bit like a mixed, like, where's he at now, right? But I mean, I would recommend it. I would, I don't know if you would you
I'd
recommend
it to like certain individuals, I think.
Okay. Let us know if you've watched it, what you thought, and maybe how you interpreted the ending. That would be interesting to hear from you guys.
Yeah, and if you want to see more of our reviews, you can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Letterboxd, or Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, and join us next week as we continue our quest for the 5th star.